Okay, so we're going to do a mindfulness practice. And as part of the mindfulness practice, of course, when you're directing your attention, other thoughts will occur. You'll notice sensations in your body. So part of what I want you to work with this evening is what in the Yoga Sutras is called devesha. Devesha means aversion. And generally, when something arises that is unpleasant, that is aversive to us, our tendency is to kind of put on the brakes or push it away. And what I'd like you to experiment with, explore this evening is saying something like, I see you, it's okay that you're here, you belong, you're welcome, so that instead of this kind of hardening and pushing against, there's a softening that one allows you to move through it. So you've probably heard this expression, the only way out is through. So when we push things away, we don't get to go through them to get to the other side. And then the other thing is, I have these Post-its on my wall, and one of them I have is, if I can be merciful and understanding with whatever comes into my life, I will be free. So if I can be merciful and understanding with whatever comes into my life, I will be free. So thinking of that too, that if we can accept it, be merciful with ourselves for whatever the thought or feeling, emotion is, then it allows us freedom from it. When we're trying to push it away or tamp it down, it gets a hold on us instead of us being able to soften around it, see it clearly, and maybe find creative solutions or just be able to move through it with a little more grace or a little more ease. So I'm going to have you get comfortable, and this is a practice that you're definitely welcome to do as a seated meditation if you choose, and definitely feel free to lie down, get yourself really in a position where you can be completely at ease, feel completely supported. If you have a sense that you would like to stay awake for it, you'd like to lie down, but you're concerned that you might fall asleep, my suggestion is you lie down with your hand in the air. So you would lie down like so and have your elbow on the floor and your forearm pointing towards the sky. And then if you start to fall asleep, your hand will fall and that will wake you up. So if you want to lie down, but you're concerned about falling asleep, you might try that little trick. So I'm going to lead you in this mindfulness practice exercise while your body gets to come to rest. And so that means if you really need rest and you lose track of the sound of my voice, don't be concerned. You can let your body intelligence take you into deep rest if that's what you need right now, if that's what your body needs just now. So for this practice, we'll be directing our attention, starting with more outward sensations or stimulation, and then moving more subtly, more inwardly. And again, taking in the thoughts, the images that occur to you. And when you notice something that's unpleasant or there's a temptation for your mind to turn away from, see if you can invoke this, I see you, it's okay that you're here, even I welcome you or you belong. So I'll ask you now to take your attention to sounds. So maybe sounds outside where you are, sounds of traffic or people or pets moving around. Being gently aware that sound exists. Sound reminds us that the present moment is something ephemeral. The present moment is this precious place of refuge where we're not lost in the past, not planning for the future. So for now, letting sound remind you that you're here and now, that we're in this here and now together, apart and together, practicing this awareness, this presence with the moment, this moment just now, together. Using sound, the arising of sound, sound moving back into silence. Maybe even for a moment being aware of your companions here, distant companions, but practicing together, all practicing to awaken out of mental habits and into body intelligence, awakening into intuition of both the heart and the mind. As you listen to sound, also hearing the big space within which sound itself is moving. And although sound itself might feel like something external, consider that it's evidence of the present moment in which we all exist as companions. Let the sounds remind you of the present moment. And the deep silence behind all sound. And now you might begin to direct your attention to a more inward place. Become aware of the air temperature entering and exiting your nose. You don't need to manage anything about your breath. You don't need to make a bigger breath or a smaller breath. Only become aware that air is entering and exiting the nose. So we invite the thinking mind to note this one place of tangible sensation, just now, just here, air coming and going through your nose. And of course, kindly and gently noting when your mind wanders off of the breath. Doing your best to welcome thoughts, sensations, feelings that arise. And then coming back to devoting your attention to the breath, entering and exiting the nose. Using this task of inviting the thinking mind to note this one place of tangible sensation, to keep your attention resting here, to divert the mind from mental habit, being keenly interested in the sensation of breath entering and exiting the nose. And without trying to co-opt or manipulate your breath, become aware of small resting moments or pauses. Inhale, pause, and the exhale, pause. And of course, this is getting to be a more intimate sense of awareness, a more intimate sensation. You might find that as your thinking mind comes into contact with the breath in this way, this more intimate, more subtle way, that it might have a hard time not meddling. It's a delicate practice. So doing your best to notice the exhale pause without apprehension or urgency. Notice the inhale pause without trying to control it. And taking in the distractions that occur, what pulls you away from the awareness of these pauses in the breath. Being kind and gentle with those distractions. Maybe noting and welcoming them before you return to the breath. The pauses, the spaces in your breath cycle. Sometimes the breath can become profoundly shallow, very simple, almost unobservable. And that's okay. You don't need to make your breath dynamic in order to notice these tiny pauses that occur, the turning points in the breath. If you find that it gets too demanding to notice, you just notice the breath and the pauses without meddling with that process, then you might come back to noticing the temperature of the air as it enters and exits your nostrils. And if you find that that's too stimulating and your mind has the urge to interrupt, come back to noticing sound and the big space within which sound occurs. That space where we all come together as companions. Taking in what draws your attention away from the breath, away from the pauses in your breath cycle. Acknowledging and allowing what's here. And then tenderly, with kindness, coming back to the breath, the natural breath, the pauses, the spaces in the breath. Without meddling, without making your breath be any certain way, just being with your natural breath, attending to those pauses, the natural space at the top of the inhalation, at the bottom of the exhalation. Over and over again with kindness, with gentleness, directing your mind to this moment, the breath moving here and now. And if the pauses get too challenging to observe without meddling, then go back to sensing the temperature of the air entering and exiting the nostrils. Nothing to manage about your breath. Allowing and welcoming whatever thoughts arise without letting your attention get pulled away from this moment. So noting the thoughts, noting the sensations, noting the feelings. welcoming. I see you. It's okay that you're here. And then using your breath, if it works for you, those pauses, those turning points or spaces in your breath cycle. As a means of calling you to this moment, here and now. Taking refuge in this moment, in this breath, in this space. And quietly now, as you notice yourself noticing, reflect for a few moments how you've been able to tend to sensation as a refuge in the present moment. And if you were able to rest in the inhale pause, in the exhale pause, you might once again draw your attention to sound, sounds inside your room, inside your body, outside, taking it all in. And once again, maybe that sense of connecting with the companionship you have on this journey of awakening out of mental habit into capacity and clarity. And taking this awareness of sound, this welcome of whatever's here with you into the rest of your evening. Thank you.